As I reflected on Ibn Arabi's cosmology this morning, I discovered compelling connections between his three-layered worlds of spirit, image, and physical body, and the core logic of biosemiotics. Distinct boundaries establish hierarchical order across these realms, while a unified foundational source sustains all forms of existence. This structural alignment shows how biological life maintains its continuity through dynamic symbolic media that translate, interpret, and compile ongoing streams of information. Organisms transmit processed symbolic data across biological communities, forming continuous chains of interpretation and compilation. Abstract symbolic media carry independent meaning within their structure. This meaning evolves constantly and shapes every dimension of the tangible physical world. Deeper relational thinking reshapes our understanding of abstract and tangible domains. Within relational web theory, these two domains operate on a continuous spectrum. Varied connection densities across the universal relational web generate all observable differences between abstract and tangible phenomena. This insight carries profound philosophical weight. It captures the shared essence of mystical cosmology, biosemiotics, and relational web theory, which I explore throughout this note. Ibn Arabi categorizes all existence into three interconnected realms. The first is the world of spirits, a domain defined by pure meaning and archetypal forms of incorporeal nature. The second is the imaginal world, where abstract meaning adopts visible figure, granting sensory accessibility to conceptual ideas. The third is the sensory corporeal world, where visualized forms consolidate and solidify into tangible physical matter. He emphasizes a foundational principle throughout his works. The three realms function as overlapping, interconnected layers rather than isolated systems. All three dimensions emerge from the single unified reality of wujud, the fundamental ground of all existence. Visible separation defines each realm, yet every boundary functions as an active medium. Ibn Arabi names this mediating structure barzakh, a cornerstone concept in his metaphysical framework. Barzakh maintains distinction between adjacent domains while sustaining their interconnected flow. It functions as a bidirectional translator, enabling constant information exchange across existential thresholds. Biosemiotics presents a conceptual framework that closely mirrors this cosmological model. It advances beyond traditional mechanical interpretations of life. It frames all biological activity within a continuous recursive cycle, sign emergence, interpretative processing, responsive action, and the generation of new signs for further interpretation. This recursive pattern manifests universally within biological systems. DNA operates as a structured symbolic signal system, guiding organic development. RNA fulfills critical translational functions within cellular environments, extending far beyond basic material transport. Proteins initiate fresh signaling sequences to sustain ongoing biological cycles, anchoring constant systemic renewal. At the cellular level, hormones, neurotransmitters, scent molecules, and sound waves all serve as transmissible symbolic signals. The immune system organizes its entire operational logic around interpreting meaningful differences between native tissue and external material. Observation of these biological mechanisms confirms a core truth of living systems. All organic life operates through self-sustaining, self-interpreting streams of symbolic information. This core biological principle expands further through the lens of relational web theory. All living systems depend on symbolic media to translate, analyze, and organize information, then share processed data across biological networks to perpetuate continuous interpretative cycles. This model aligns perfectly with foundational biosemiotic principles. RWT originates from primordial flow, a dynamic field structured entirely by inherent difference. Emerging differences generate new relational configurations, and stable long-term relations consolidate into fixed structural knots. Any structural knot that preserves historical states, guides developmental trajectories, and engages in new relational dynamics embodies proto-meaning, a primitive and foundational form of interpretative potential. Symbolic activity precedes the emergence of biological life. Complex living systems arise only after long, recursive cycles of symbolic structuring establish sufficient organizational depth. I think RWT could offer a powerful framework to reinterpret or extend Ibn Arabi's tripartite cosmology. We can trace existential organization from the highest spiritual plane down to physical matter. The spiritual plane hosts pure relational dynamics and autonomous meaning, free of physical embodiment. The imaginal world transforms abstract meaning into coherent, recognizable form. The material plane consists of densely packed, stabilized networks of fixed relational structures. We can also trace this organizational logic in reverse, ascending from physical matter toward pure spiritual relation. Physical matter forms from dense, firmly stabilized relational knots. Flowing streams of interpretative meaning layer above material structures. Unrestricted, open, pure relations define the uppermost spiritual dimension. This layered structure expresses continuous relational variation rather than rigid hierarchical ranking. Varying internal relational densities generate all observable distinctions between the three realms. Ibn Arabi affirms one unified existence as the root of all reality, with cosmic diversity arising from diverse modes of existential manifestation. RWT affirms one interconnected universal relational web, with all cosmic diversity emerging from shifting relational densities and ongoing recursive cycling. We can map each realm precisely within this unified relational framework. The spiritual world maintains low relational density, supporting expansive potential for unconstrained meaning. The imaginal world operates as a transitional Barzakh zone, enabling bidirectional translation between abstract meaning and tangible form, and facilitating cross-layer information circulation. The material world consists of high-density relational knot networks, structured by stable, rigid systemic constraints. Smooth continuity connects all three realms across flexible, permeable boundaries. This dynamic mirrors the phase states of water, vapor, liquid, and solid ice. Gradual temperature fluctuation reorganizes molecular relations and triggers phase transition, while the essential identity of water remains consistent throughout all structural transformations, meaning integrates actively within structural development across reality. Physical matter emerges as temporary condensed structure woven from evolving threads of cosmic meaning. This central principle deepens our understanding of life and universal meaning-making. Life establishes the universe's foundational mechanism for self-comprehension. Cosmic self-understanding propagates through symbolic signaling, evolves alongside shifting relational structures, and renews infinitely through recursive dynamics. Continuous translation and mutual reshaping between abstract meaning and tangible form define cosmic progression. Relational web theory frames abstract forces and tangible structures within one continuous system. Recursive cycles, raw meaning fields, and stable repeating patterns compose abstract dimensionality. Fixed knot formations, consolidated physical matter, and solid structural architecture compose tangible dimensionality. All phenomena manifest as unique expressions of the single universal relational web. Relational density, structural stability, and interpretative accessibility create the full spectrum of diverse observable reality.